Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and today we have another rebirth figure, and it is the Jurassic World Wild Roar maiasaura. Anyways, let's take a closer look at this figure. First off, we have the rebirth Spinosaurus on the packaging, maiasaura in that font again. Again, we have the kind of just random black and red striping, the rebirth logo, and then also the background, which you can't see too well here, but let me get the Jurassic packaging. It's already opened that figure. You can see it kind of has like a jungly background, which I guess looks pretty cool. Also, I kind of like the concept of this box having like the whatever biome the animal's from alongside like looking like a cage. I just don't like the red and black stripe from the font. Otherwise, I think it looks nice. Anyways, back to the maiasaura. Again, you can see on this side just red with the rebirth logo. On the back, you can see the other Wild Roar figures down here. Just some kind of information on the Jurassic Facts app, which again has not been updated yet. Some more stuff on the tail. And also, forgot to show this on the user after packaging as well. They're kind of doing like the biomes for rebirth, and we have land, sea, and air, which I kind of wish that they would have did more marine reptiles and pterosaurs. I know they've kind of tried to do that already, but I wish there was even more of them, since I feel there's a very small proportion of pterosaurs and marine reptiles. But, yeah, I feel like second wave would have been a good opportunity to get, like, Tropiognathus and maybe, like, Ichthyosaur or Romaleosaurus in there, just to give more diversity. But, anyways, I do think, especially the first wave, I think the diversity is really good. Anyways, let's take this maiasaura out of the packaging. First, we can cut these right here. Pull the figure out of the box, which this is actually a really bulky figure. And this looks great so far. Let me just get the tail out of the packaging, which I'm just going to show in the YouTube after when I had to, like, basically completely rip this back part to get it out. I wish Mattel put on this bottom part where there's not anything down there, so that would be a little bit less painful to have to take that out. But let me get this off camera real fast. Okay, got the tail out. And if we just clip this in, which should be pretty easy, which hopefully it should be easy. There you go. Got it in. Here is our maiasaura figure, and man, this tail is so long. Loving the new tails that Mattel put on their figures. But let's take a closer look at this figure. First, I want to start off with, I know a lot of people don't like the lack of paint on this figure, which, to me, that's the only issue. If it wasn't for the lack of paint, this would be a really good figure. It honestly just needs more paint past this part. Don't know exactly what they would do with patterns. Maybe just continue the stripe, and then also, I don't know, maybe add, like, the tan underbelly going all the way down. And maybe add some, like, like orange or white stripes on the back. That could probably help on the colorations. But sculpt-wise, this is great. First off, looking at the head, no articulation. I don't know why, but the herbivores with the mouth open, and they're like sculpted with the mouth open, I'm not the biggest fan of. I kind of wish, I think it would probably help if they painted the inside of the mouth and stuff, but I know that would be kind of hard to do. But yeah, anyways, look at the beak. It's kind of just like a big lump instead of being like an actual beak, which is kind of weird, but I think that's just kind of how they casted the figure. Anyways, the lower beak is not painted, which is a little bit of a shame, but oh well. Then we have the actual, like, sculpt. Again, it looks amazing, though. It has good skin detailing. The eyes don't actually have, like, the black part in the middle. It's just kind of like an orangey color. But the eyes are yellow. Also, with the crest, it has, like, one crest, which I think maiasaura actually had, like, two. Kind of more like a big flat crest that went across the top of the head, if I remember correctly. So there is that, but still looks good. I know I'm not saying the nicest thing about this figure already, but I still do think it's really good. There's just a few inaccuracies with it. Going down the back, we actually have these kind of, can't remember exactly what they're called, but some hadrosaurs, I know there's evidence for it in some hadrosaurs. Hadrosaurs are often depicted with it, kind of because it looks cool and also because it's accurate. Happy that they put it on this figure, and it'd be cool if they did a Saurolophus maybe in the future with it as well. But anyways, going down to the tail, continuing it on with the nice detailing, and here, again, if you were to just look at this figure from here, it's just completely unpainted, which I know is a bit annoying, but anyways, going down to the toe claws, I feel like if they barely painted this figure, they could have at least painted the toe claws, but yeah. Also, we have the hooves, which I think maiasaura should actually have hooves like some other hadrosaurs, or I don't know if all hadrosaurs will have. I know at least Edmontosaurus had them, but probably should have, but I know the Jurassic hadrosaurs don't, so that's probably why they did this. But yeah, anyways, on to the actual articulation. The front limbs can go outwards. They can't go really anywhere inwards. They can go forwards, though. They can't stand without the other limb, though, so you can pose it, like, maybe this arm, because it kind of felt like it was resting. Yeah, this arm you can pose in any direction you like, because it doesn't rest on this one. It rests on the other one, though. So, yeah. I'm going to just put that back into position. Now the hind legs, you can move those backwards. And there's the action feature, but anyways, going forwards, you can go about there. And that's pretty much it. Doesn't have super crazy articulation. I don't think can they go outwards? Okay, maybe the Rebirth Wild Raptor just can't go outwards. I thought that they could go out a very tiny bit because it kind of looked like that on the Utah Raptor, but I don't think they can. Anyways, the tail has articulation, but it's tied to the action feature. Yeah, tied to the action feature. Same for the head. Would have been cool if they gave it head articulation, but it doesn't. Anyways, for the action feature, you can just grab onto the tail and... I really like the sound effects. I think they're really nice. The Rebirth figures have pretty good sound effects, except for the baked Cheeto Baryonyx that has Indominus Rex sounds. Anyways, I do think that this one has nice sounds. I think this and the Utah Raptor have really good sound effects chosen for them. But yeah, moving on to the size comparison. This figure measures in it's actually really big, so it measures in at about 13 inches long, which is actually a little bit longer than the Utah Raptor, and in height is about 5 inches at the top of the hip and 4 inches at the top of the head. Now for actual size comparison, let me bring the Utah Raptor in here, which it's actually bigger than the Utah Raptor. The Utah Raptor is shorter in length and in height, so it is quite a bit smaller than the maiasaura. And honestly, the maiasaura is weird on hind legs, which I don't think the figure really can do. Like, it can, but it can't really be like naturally standing on its hind legs. You can kind of see that it's still outside the Utah Raptor, of course, but pretty big. If I could pose this back down real fast, we can move on to the size comparison for other things. So, first, here's it compared to a Mattel human figure, which it sizes up pretty nicely. I think my maiasaura in real life was actually quite a bit bigger than this, but for a Jurassic Hadrosaur figure, I think it works. Next, here's it compared to a Jurassic World Velociraptor figure, which, again, outsizes by quite a bit. Now, give me a second to go grab my Hadrosaur to compare this to. So first, here's it with the Primal Attack Edmontosaurus, which it's longer and taller than. This Wild Roar figure is just big. Next, here's it compared to the Oranosaurus, which finally one that's actually taller than it, but still shorter than it in length. And if you're excluding the hump on its back, it actually is a bit shorter than the Maiasaura. Which you can see kind of back here. Kind of looks like a hybrid now. But anyways. Next, let me get my Parasaurolophus figure. I actually don't have the bigger Parasaurolophus, so can't compare it to that. But here it is compared to the smaller one that came in this set, the Legacy Collection set. So, yeah. Not too much to this Maiasaura figure. I think that it's really nice, though. Again, it really is lacking paint. But definitely, it's still a really good herbivorous Wild Rock figure, I think. So, yeah, I definitely recommend picking it up, though, if you're a fan of Maiasaura or just generally dinosaurs in general. There's one more thing I actually kind of do want to compare this to, which is the T-Rex, mainly because I believe in the original Jurassic Park novel, Maiasaura and T-Rex. I know Maiasaura was in the original Jurassic Park novel, and I think T-Rex interacted with it or maybe hunted it at some point. But, yeah, just thought it'd be kind of cool to bring it in. The T-Rex just completely dwarfs it in size. Maiasaura, I think, should be like twice the size in real life, or maybe not twice, but quite a bit bigger. Anyways, also, let me bring the Utah Raptor in, because I forgot to compare it to T-Rex before. Here's it with the Utah Raptor. Looks really cool. Anyways, back to the Maiasaura, since that's the review of this figure. Anyways, back to talking about this figure. If you'd like to purchase this figure, at least in the US, you can get it on Walmart.com. I'll put a link to that in the description if you'd like a chance to pick this figure up. A few of the other Rebirth figures are there, but not all of them, so you may have to wait a little bit for some other figures, but I know the first wave of Wild Roar figures are there alongside the Quetzalcoatlus, and the first wave of Gigantic Tracker figures are available. So, yeah, if you'd like to get a hold of this figure, or even the Utah Raptor, again, I'll put a link to those guys in the description. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and go check out my Utah Raptor review as well, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.